Hi, welcome to We Need to Talk, the mini-cast where we focused on strengthening relationships through embracing, not avoiding difficult conversations. I'm your host, Dr. Jill Thorngren, executive coach and licensed psychotherapist, and I continue to learn that we all need to talk more, not less, whether we're at home, the office, or in between, or as I like to say, in the bedroom, in the boardroom, and beyond. Let's talk. Today I want to talk about enough. It's my word for 2024. I found it a few weeks ago when I was running around frantically trying to fit one more thing into an already overcrowded week and realizing I wasn't doing anything terribly well. Enough is enough, I muttered, or maybe I yelled. I was talking to myself, but the dog, the cat, and the husband all took cover, so I knew I was probably onto something when I decided to take myself literally and actually look into this whole enough is enough thing. We often believe that the key to our success is more. Shoot, I'm practically admonishing you to talk more, and that is actually good. Do talk more. But seriously, to be our best also means finding our enough, realizing when we're reaching the tipping point from being a capable, high-performing, adaptable, able to adeptly take on one more thing person to a slightly unhinged version of yourself, mutter yelling loud enough to scare the pets. And just think about doing that in the office, in earshot of your colleagues or staff. They can't hide under the bed like the cat did. And we do reach our tipping points. Today's world of work and the relationships we're navigating need more of us than ever. And I'm not suggesting that we short shrift any of them. I'm suggesting that we become intentional about where we focus our energy and making sure that we invest enough in relationships, enough in our work to have enough left for ourselves to reinvest in those relationships and pursuits. And here's the formula I'm using for finding my enough in 2024. I landed on it in my therapy work with couples and have found it to be applicable to many relationships and situations. I'm challenging us to find our enough by acing it. What do we need to accept? What is truly necessary to change? And what can't or maybe shouldn't be changed that we can embrace instead of fight? I'll tell you a story about the anchovy in a second. But first, one of the paradoxes I run into all the time is the fact, and I've come to believe it is a fact, is that in almost every situation, there are things that need to be accepted, whether I like them or not. And the paradox is that often acceptance precedes change. Sometimes the change is literal. People change their behaviors after they feel accepted or heard. And sometimes the change is more internal. The situation remains the same because it has to, but through accepting it, we feel more calm, more focused. Either way, assessing, and that does involve more talking, our relationships and our work projects with an eye toward what we need to accept is the first step in finding our enough. And then we have to have some honest dialogue about what truly does need to change. And importantly, we need to start that dialogue with ourselves first. What do we need to do and what can we do to change, to strengthen our relationships and meet our goals, either interpersonally or organizationally? Sometimes it feels like someone else needs to go first, but in reality, this is the time when it's perfectly okay to cut in the line of change and go first. We don't need to wait for others to make changes so that we can feel happier or be more productive. We can control exactly two things in life, our attention and our actions, and neither involve anyone else needing to do something different first. Even small shifts in where we focus our attention and the subsequent actions we take can achieve the change we are striving for. We can more easily find our enough by intentionally deciding each day where to focus our attention and what actions we are going to take to turn toward, not away from our relationships. This prevents us from the tendency we sometimes have to try and be all things to all people, instead of accepting that working to show up in our best, albeit imperfect, self is enough. And after we compassionately challenge ourselves to change, we can engage our partners, our colleagues, our friends in the conversation. And when we're negotiating change in any relationship, it's always best to offer to go first. Start with acknowledging what you can and want to change, and then you can ask for what you want or need from others. And finally, the third step that helps us find and be enough is embracing what makes us unique, what we probably can't and maybe even shouldn't change. Often we stress ourselves to that tipping point of scaring the cat by focusing on or ranting about things that we can't change. These are different for everyone and every relationship. These are often the perceived weaknesses or idiosyncrasies that we rail against. I'm all about making changes to unhealthy or destructive behaviors. These aren't those. These are the quirks that each of us in every relationship has. These are the anchovies in our barbecue sauce. There's a great story about a woman who loved the sauce on a sandwich she ordered at her favorite restaurant. And after many years of patronage, she finally finagled the recipe for the sauce. Included in the ingredient list was anchovies, an ugh for the woman. So she made the sauce, leaving out the annoying anchovies, and immediately discovered it wasn't the same. Not even close. It still smelled good. It still looked good. Still had the same consistency, but taste wasn't at all what she had grown to love. Because the one ingredient that she didn't like on its own was actually what made the sauce work. We all have our hidden anchovies. They're part of who we are, part of what make us us. We just need to embrace them, make them work for us. Too many anchovies will make the sauce salty. Too few will leave it flat. We need to embrace just enough of our inner anchovies to flavor our secret sauce of success. My inner anchovies are irreverent. They make me crack inappropriate jokes, sometimes at inappropriate times. I'm working on how to embrace them without getting fired. And keep in mind, I work for myself. So enough is truly enough. This was supposed to be a mini-cast, not a manifesto. I'm focusing my attention and my actions on finding my enough this year. Join me if you'd like. Remember to accept the things that truly have to be. Change the things that would strengthen your relationships, starting with you and what you focus on and what you do each day. And finally, embrace. Don't eliminate your inner anchovies. Want to talk more? Drop me a line and let's talk. Have a great day.